Out to do some street photography when it's over 30 degrees Celsius might not sound like the best idea, but I promise you I've been out the last couple of days and I managed to get some nice photos that document this feeling of scorching heat and summer in general. So I figured I would just document another day of this, of me trying to take photos that actually feel like it's a very hot day. And by that I mean trying to take photos that go beyond the nice shadow and light play that we always have during summer, and trying to take photos that give you a feeling. And for me, I have 2 or 3 different feelings that I want to capture with my photos today, and we're going to see if I manage to take some. So today I'm gonna share a couple of tips, a couple of thoughts of what I'm learning when I'm out doing street photography in this environment in the city. And yeah, share a couple of photos that inspire you, hopefully. Okay, so the first feeling that I'm trying to capture is the feeling of being unable to escape this scorching heat, and I just found the perfect location for that, and I just took some photos and went around the corner because the main street is just a little too busy to record. So essentially what I needed was an open space with very little shade, simply because that gives you the feeling that there's only sun and there's no way to escape the heat by going into the shadows. So what I did was just find the street, walk around for a little bit, and don't mind me being anxious. I'm not used to recording in public, okay? So whenever someone walks by, they give me a look and I just feel social anxiety, okay? So don't mind it. So what I did was try to find a couple of different angles that show a lot of sunlight and that contrast my subject. So I waited for a bright subject to walk in front of this dark building, and then I just pressed the shutter, essentially. Wow, I'm very good at explaining spontaneously. So the takeaway from that is, one, find an open space with negative space, so a lot of empty space with very little detail, and generally look for a location that works for you when you're trying to create a certain feeling, because I wouldn't be able to create this feeling of not escaping the heat in a place that has lots of shade, simply because it doesn't look that way and it doesn't feel that way in your photos. So there's 2 things to this: understanding visual language, like using negative space or open space, and secondly, understanding what kind of location you need to look for to get the kind of shot that you want. By the way, if you want to learn how to give your photos a certain feeling by using negative space, color, symmetry, so basically composition, check out my guide via the link in the description. The second thing I wanted to talk about was getting candid shots, because I think 2 weeks ago, when I started this photography project of documenting summer, I looked for inspiration, and what I found were mostly editorial shots, so staged images with models that allow you to get, very close. And I'm not that kind of photographer. Especially when it comes to street photography, when you're not staging photos, I'm not one to get very close or very candid with my street photography, simply because it's not where I feel comfortable. But I figured I'd use them as inspiration to just take something from the images and apply that to real scenes and to do some real street photography and capture real moments that looked similar. So I tried it, I went out, and it went horribly. I was so stressed simply because I was running around, and I was putting myself in a position where I tried to get kind of very close to people, but because I was so uncomfortable, I also was running around. So I didn't stop and compose a photo, instead I tried this run and gun, this hip shooting style, and hoping that the shots worked out whenever I saw something. So It was more like I was reacting instead of, you know, finding meaningful images that express something that I wanted to express. And it shows in the photos. They are legit trash. Not okay, they are not okay, they are trash. And that made me realize something. One, I was trying the wrong approach. Hip shooting can work, even for me, even for someone who's, you know, kind of anxious and not this in-your-face kind of style photographer. But most of the time, the photos that I take that I think are good are mostly well-composed images where I spend a little bit of time and put some thought into building the composition. It's simply how I take photos. It's how I get the best results and how I feel most fulfilled when I take photos. So, what I did to solve this was to, well, slow down. And I happened to find a good composition that made me slow down. So this wasn't by any means an active thought. I just realized afterwards how bad I messed up. So when I paused, I realized that building the composition first is something that I usually do, and then I usually find a subject in street photography. And the reason I'm telling you this is because sometimes when you look for inspiration, it can feel like you have to be this candid kind of photographer to be a street photographer, when that's not the case at all. It is okay to learn inspiration from that style, but it's important to understand what kind of photographer you are and how you feel comfortable when taking photos, and then try to spend the majority of your time to work in that style of photography. And of course, sometimes try to move outside your comfort zone, but still it's a good idea to understand where you feel comfortable to get the best results. My tip for you, if you want to get candid shots but you are anxious like me, is a technique that is called fly on the wall. And that is basically where you stand somewhere, where you find a good composition first and you just need to wait for someone to walk through your photo. And then you pose yourself, you set everything up, get the right settings, and then you wait for someone to walk through. And it sounds really simple, but it just requires some patience. And also when you take the photos and someone walks by very close, bonus tip, hold your camera steady until they are gone out of the shot. That makes it seem like that makes it seem like you're not taking a photo of them, but instead you're taking a photo of something and they just walked through your shot. And just one thing, be mindful with this technique, because this is not about taking photos of people without them noticing at all. It's more a way for you to deal with this anxiety and a way for you to get candid shots without being super stressed. And the way I do this is that I usually don't show people's faces in my photos, which is why I'm so confident in this technique. And yeah, if there's one takeaway here, I would advise you use it in a similar manner if you feel like people don't want their photo taken. Okay, so the last motto for that day was summer clothing. I didn't vlog this part because it was just too hot, man. I was lucky I even got some decent photos, let alone think and speak clearly. But the idea for these photos was pretty simple. I was looking for things like straw hats, fans and stuff like that, because you only wear these to escape the summer heat. So when they show up in the photo, they instantly tell your viewer that it must be hot. It's a small detail, but it helps you capture the feeling of a hot summer in your photos. So that was 2 days of trying to capture the feeling of summer in my photos. Some shots worked, some were trash, but that's how it goes in photography. So again, if you want to go deeper into taking photos that create a feeling, check out my guide, the link's in the description. And if you stuck around this long, do me a favor and subscribe, because it actually helps a ton. See you next week.